Have you ever felt like your past mistakes are holding you back? Like no matter how hard you try, you can't shake off the things you regret. This is a struggle that so many of us deal with. We try to be better, but sometimes it feels like we're chained to our own flaws. It's hard to stay motivated, especially when the journey feels overwhelming. But what if I told you that there's a character who not only went through this exact battle, but found a way to turn his biggest regrets into his greatest source of power? And who is this hero? It's none other than Endeavor, the fierce, flame-wielding powerhouse from the anime My Hero Academia. But the Endeavor we see today is a far cry from who he used to be. His story is more than just a redemption, it's a masterclass in persistence. See, Endeavor is one of the most complicated characters in My Hero Academia. In the earlier seasons, he is introduced as the number 2 hero, living in the shadow of All Might, who was beloved by everyone. Endeavor, however, wasn't the kind of hero who inspired admiration in the same way. He was powerful, yes, but also cold, ruthless, and driven by an obsession to surpass All Might. This obsession consumed him, leading him to become harsh, even abusive towards his own family, particularly towards his son Soto. He forced Soto into a life of training, trying to shape him into the perfect hero, someone who could achieve what Endeavor couldn't, that is, to be the number 1 hero. But after All Might retired and Endeavor finally took the top spot, he found himself in a position he wasn't prepared for. He realized that being number 1 wasn't just about power, it's about being a symbol of hope for the society. This realization sparked a deep inner struggle in him, one that slowly changed his character. He started trying to make up for his past mistakes and reconnect with his family, but the journey was long and painful. By the time we reach season 7, particularly episode 10, Endeavor's internal struggle has reached a climax in his battle with All for One. In this battle, we see Endeavor not only fighting a physical enemy, but also the demons of his past. As Endeavor faces All for One, he is pushed to the brink of his physical and emotional limits. Amidst the chaos, he has a deep symbolic encounter with a vision of his younger self. This younger Enji Todoroki appears during the heat of the battle, taunting and questioning the man he has become. The younger version represents the prideful and ambitious Endeavor of the past, someone who was so focused on surpassing All Might that he lost sight of everything else. The younger Enji looks at his older self, questioning whether he has finally given up and if he is strong enough to finish the fight. The vision of his younger self represents all of Endeavor's pride, ambition, and sorrow throughout his life. It's a reminder of the path he took once, a path driven by desires and ruthless ambition. But now, standing on the battlefield, wounded and beaten, Endeavor confronts this younger version of himself with an entirely new perspective. He is no longer motivated by the urge to outperform All Might for his own sake. Instead, his persistence has taken on a new meaning. When Endeavor says, "I am persistent," he is not simply expressing his determination. He is also expressing how far he has come in his own journey. The older Endeavor recognizes that he must keep fighting, not for his own ego or his pride, but for the future. In this context, Endeavor's persistence is for something greater than himself. He knows that the future of hero society rests on the shoulders of heroes like Soto, Deku, and the others. His role is not to outshine them, but to pave the way for them, to give them the chance to grow in a world free from the shadow of All for One. This marks a significant change in Endeavor's character. He is no longer striving to be the best version of himself, but to be a pillar for the future. The statement, "I am persistent," is a reflection of his determination to atone for his past mistakes and to ensure that the future generation of heroes can thrive. Endeavor understands that he cannot change what he has done, but he can persist in his efforts to be better, to be the hero that society needs, and the father that his children deserve. The episode is telling us that persistence in its truest form is not about relentless ambition for personal gain. It's about standing firm in the face of overwhelming challenges, even when the battle seems lost, and continuing to fight for what matters most. For Endeavor, that means fighting for the safety of the next generation, for his family, and for a future where his mistakes do not define him. So what can you learn from Endeavor's persistence, and how can you bring the same mindset into our own lives? Let's dive in together. Own up to your past, but don't let it define you. This lesson from Endeavor's journey is huge because it's something we all face. We all had moments where we look back at our past and think, if only I hadn't done that, or I wish I could change that. But here's the thing, while we can't change our past, we do have the power to change how we respond to it. And that's exactly what Endeavor shows us. He didn't just make a few mistakes, he hurt the people closest to him. He put his ambitions above his family, and he knows he has to live with those decisions. But instead of ignoring them or hiding from the guilt, he chooses to confront them full on. That's not easy, but it's powerful. By taking responsibility, he's showing us that acknowledging our past is actually a form of strength and not weakness. And it's this honesty that makes his journey so real and relatable. Now think about it, in our personal life, when you have messed up, instead of getting stuck in regret or shame, ask yourself, what did I learn here, or how can I use this to make better choices in the future? Let's say you have failed to meet a personal goal you set, like staying consistent with exercise or saving money. Rather than beating yourself up, look at why it didn't work out. Was there a lack of planning or a loss of motivation? Once you have identified the root cause, you can actually use it to make your next attempt stronger and wiser. And Endeavor's story tells us that we don't have to let our mistakes become our entire identity. Every single mistake we make is just one chapter. It doesn't have to be the whole book. And what's even more valuable? Those mistakes don't just fade away, they are actually valuable. They provide us with something to work with, a path in which we may improve, if we are willing to see them that way. Persistence isn't about being strong, it's about being consistent. When you think about being persistent, we often picture this unbreakable strength or endless motivation. But what's the reality? Persistence isn't about being unstoppable, it's about being consistent. Let's look at Endeavor again. He's a guy who has faced a ton of setbacks and personal battles. He has failed, hurt people, and even struggled with guilt. But what sets him apart is that he doesn't let those low points stop him. He keeps showing up, maybe not with all the answers and definitely not without his flaws, but he's there, working towards his goal, bit by bit. That's the true essence of persistence. It's staying in the game even when things aren't going perfectly. Say you want to get stronger or build endurance. Sure, there will be days when you're pumped and ready to go for an intense workout. But there are also going to be days when the last thing you want to do is hit the gym. And that's completely normal. And here's where persistence turns into consistency. It's on those tougher days that your decision to show up, even if it's just for a short light workout, keeps you on track. And these little efforts, these small moments of consistency add up. It's not about being perfect, rather it's about not letting yourself drift too far away from your path. So if you're working towards a goal, keep in mind that you don't have to have the energy of a superhero every day. Some days all it takes is just showing up, even if it's just doing a little. That's persistence in its purest form. It's not about being strong all the time, it's about being there even when you don't feel like it. Redefine what you're fighting for. Endeavor's ego drove his whole persistence. He wanted to be the greatest hero at any cost. But as he started to make his mistakes, his purpose changed. He no longer fights just to be powerful now. He's fighting for something bigger than himself. His family, the future generation, and the world he wants to protect. In our lives, persistence often fails when we are only chasing something for ourselves. But when we connect our goals to something with purpose, we have a reason to keep going even when it gets tough. Think about why you are chasing your goals. Are you doing it just for yourself, or is there something deeper? Maybe you are working hard at a job to provide for your family, or pursuing a skill to make a real impact in the world. When you have a strong why, you have the strength to keep pushing forward. Take a first generation college student for example, who is pushing through the difficulties of balancing work, college and family. Their why might not just be personal success, but the hope of opening doors for their family and showing the siblings what's possible. When your reason goes beyond yourself, it drives your persistence and keeps you going even when things get difficult. Persistence isn't about perfection, it's about growth. I think this is a huge lesson because in so many areas of life, we tend to think that if we are not doing things perfectly, we are failing. But that is not the way growth works. Imagine you are trying to build some healthier habits. Maybe you want to start waking up earlier, or you are pursuing a fitness goal. When you first started this journey, you may have made a few mistakes, such as missing a workout or sleeping through your alarm. But here's the thing, if we view every slip up as a failure, we are setting ourselves up to quit because we think we are not good enough. Instead, let's focus on the idea that progress, not perfection, is the goal. If you wake up late one day or miss a workout, it doesn't mean you failed. It is just a tiny bump in the road. Each time you get up and try again, even after a setback, that's persistence. And persistence builds growth, which is far more valuable than flawless results. Take Endeavor's journey. He's far from perfect. He's got a messy past, has made mistakes, and is still figuring things out. Yet he's persistent in his journey to improve, and that's where the real growth happens. So let's flip this idea that persistence means being flawless or never messing up. In reality, persistence is about showing up even when you're flawed, even when it's hard, and even when you are doubting yourself. So as we wrap up our video, I hope you have seen how Endeavor's story isn't just about being the strongest hero. It's about embracing the struggles, learning from our past, and using that knowledge to grow into a better version of ourselves. So the next time you feel like giving up or when self-doubt creeps in, remember, persistence isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about showing up every day and fighting for the future we want to create. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.